Hey guys, happy Saturday? I think so. So I was doing some work around and putting my lazy boy on my front lawn. But seriously, I just shampooed it, so I figured it's got to air out. And so I figured I'd talk to you in a little more luxury. So I'm going to tell you a story that I'm hoping will relate to some of you folks in a certain circumstance. When I was a child, I'm going to say I was about, it was either kindergarten or grade one. We lived in a small town, and we had located there. My grandfather, on my mother's side, had bought a house. It was an old house, and we'd visit him on occasion, and I have vague recollections of it. But I can remember one time we went visiting, and he had remarried to a woman who had daughters, and there was some kind of family event going on, and so his daughters were there in the kitchen. Now, I liked that old house because it had creaky stairs and weird rooms and that kind of stuff. And for a little kid, it was a lot of fun. But I can remember having to go to the bathroom in the worst way. And when I was a kid, I would tend to hold on to it till the last possible moment because whatever I was doing was way more fun than taking a leak. But finally, nature would take over and I would have to go and do that. Now, the byproduct of that is that I would then be in a hurry. I would be in a hurry to relieve myself. And I can remember there was this tiny little bathroom off the kitchen. And so it was middle of the day and I ran in there quite in a hurry and relieved myself quite in a hurry. The byproduct, however, of doing that quite in a hurry was I didn't raise the toilet seat like boys are supposed to. And invariably I ended up, well, tinkling all over the place. Now, adults, older kids, regular kids, everyone has probably done that in their life. The difference is, though, for whatever reason, I decided it wasn't important for me to clean up that mess. And I proceeded to go about my business. And shortly thereafter, a few minutes after, the daughter of the woman that was my grandfather had married, and she was, I'm going to suggest she was in her 20s. She was working in the kitchen. She came and found me because she had seen me go in the bathroom. And she was like, "Robert, you peed all over the toilet seat. What's going on?" And as a child, in that moment, I can remember making the decision that either A, I could admit to it, or B, I could claim that it wasn't me. Now we're entering the realm of narcissism, and if you look on various forums, children are highly narcissistic up until they reach the age of reason, and some of them well beyond. So I was adamant. I was adamant that I did not make that mess. And she was adamant I was. Now, of course, I was in the wrong, but, well, let's face it, little kids, they get accused of something and they have a tremendous capacity to swear up and down that it wasn't me. And at the end of the day, it was me. I believe my father got involved. Bottom line is, I do remember having to clean up the mess, which was not too extreme, but it was extreme enough that I had to be called on my shit. So here we are in our modern post-pandemic world, and there's a lot of things that are going to be happening as we coming up here, where it's absolutely true. No one has to admit anything. You're going to see in the political class how they will say either it wasn't me, or they're going to continue to deny the fallout of what's going on. But let's face it, as of this posting this video, there's a couple of countries who now have completely banned the vaccine, and they're not doing it for anyone under the age of 50 in Denmark, and they're not, and the NHS in Britain is now not allowing it for children, and this is going to escalate. Now, once again, those of you who've taken it, the die is cast. I'm not fear mongering. Some people I know have said I'm fear mongering, but I'm not fear mongering. I'm simply speaking about it in a way that if you're still looking at the pissed on toilet seat saying, "Oh, it wasn't me," or it's not real, that's a choice. That's a choice. But it's going to bleed into other areas of your life. So, I mean, it just makes you an irresponsible person. So there's really an argument to just stepping forward and going, "Yep, I fucked up," or "Yep, I made a bad choice." And not only, you actually never need to say anything to me personally, because I'm more concerned about your health than I am concerned about any kind of admission of error. But you can start to do some proactive measures to try and abate any of the health issues that may come as a result of it. But further to this, pissing on the toilet seat, our political class is got two choices. You see, when I pissed on the toilet seat, I had a couple of choices. In that moment, I could either have just cleaned it up and no one would ever been the wiser. When I was challenged, I could have been like, "Yeah, you know what? I was a bad boy," and then dealt with it. Or I could have escalated, as in that time I actually did that. I can remember crying and wailing, saying, "No, it wasn't me. How could it possibly be me?" But in my mind, I knew it was an act. Because for some reason, it was more important for me to be not seen as guilty than to just clean up the mess. Well, there's going to be a lot of things happening very shortly in the world where no one is going to want to clean up the mess. And it's going to be up to saner people to say, to challenge, much like my, I guess she would have been my half sister, my half aunt, and my father had to ultimately force me to come clean with logic and reason. But they're going to pull this shit not only with the COVID stuff, but they're going to distract you. This climate shit is starting to ramp up now, and you know, for years, it was always like, "Oh, those climate guys, you know, the Greenpeace tree huggers and all that kind of stuff." And I don't give a shit what you say about climate change and all that kind of stuff. It is a fact that the world has changed temperature 1 degree in the last 10,000 years. This is just a fact. Barack Obama's got beachfront property, and so does Gates. These are the guys saying that the beaches are going to be underwater in a couple of years. When I was a kid, you know, Time magazine, I can remember everything from acid rain to the sky was falling for this, that, and the other thing. The bottom line is that we have now established the precedent that they're going to try and control us with something. For Christ's sake, in New York right now, they have a polio alert on because they scooped out some shit in the sewer. We are officially entering clown world, folks. And the bottom line is that those of us who are cognizant, we're past the point now we can just like shrug and be like, "Ah, those crazy guys." It's almost at the point now, and this is the beautiful thing. This whole vaccine horseshit shit show circus that happened for the last 2 years, those of you who bought into it are now terrified and realizing what's gone on. And I hope you're well once again. But this is an excellent stage for some serious change to happen. Because things are always layered. There's never a change that happens in the world that happens just click, there's the change done. Things have to reach a cumulative level. Much like when you watch a pot boiling, it doesn't go into a rolling boil immediately. Little bubbles form over time. And so we're going to be entering a stage right now, and I think it's very important for everyone to be very vigilant. You know, we've got this new leadership in the Conservatives, and, you know, we're going to have to be vigilant in regard to holding people's feet to the fire as concerning promises. And if they don't, the other side of that is being not afraid to speak your mind and being not afraid to be collective with other people speaking your mind instead of, you know, pretending like nothing's going on, much like I pretended it wasn't me who left the piss. So, it's just a thought I had on this Saturday afternoon. This is my week of my birthday. I'm going to be taking the week off. Got some fun plans in mind, so that'll be exciting. But I just wanted to hop on here and just, put this out in general that, if you have pissed the seat, if you have made the error and you're, you can continue to pretend there's not a problem, and it's the old adage: if the ostrich buries its head, because if it can't see you, you can't see it. Or instead, you could take all of that and just apply it to us moving forward, because whether it's climate lockdowns, wars, there's going to be problems with the currency. Check my charting videos. It's all engineered around the machinations of the masters of the universe, who think they run everything, and for millennia they have. But democracy is here. The internet, even though everybody's afraid of the internet is actually going to be our liberator, because we're able to talk to each other in ways we've never been able to before. I'm able to impart this on you to, my last video got 60 views out to date. It's not a lot, but YouTube, they get 10,000 views, right? But maybe my next video get 120. I'm able to say to you things that, years ago I would never, unless we had the circle fire or whatever, that wouldn't happen. And I am by no means the be all and end all, but I'm at least willing to, I for whatever reason, am not a person who is afraid to speak his mind, nor subject am I to groupthink. If you have been unafraid or afraid to speak your mind, or if you have been subject to groupthink, well, fuck. Why don't you sober up? Because it's, all that's left now is, if you've had your health compromised, all that's left is your children and your children's children. So seriously, are you going to man up or woman up and dial in, or you continue to be a bitch? Because it's a choice, believe me. Anyway, that may be a little extreme talking there, but sometimes just when I watch people just kowtow to this shit, I'm just like, really? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing? You know better. I oftentimes say to my children, I have an expression. I might put this in another video, but I'll give it to you now. And the expression goes like this. When my kids fail at something really simple, I look at them and I simply say the following. I simply say 10,000 years. And do you want to know what 10,000 years means? 10,000 years means that the only reason you're standing here is your forefathers did things like sail across the ocean with some salt pork and an oar. And then they cleared whole forests and built civilizations. They fought back hordes of people that were more well armed than they were, and they had a dedication to the future. They overcame sicknesses that took down weaker men than them. You, if you're watching this video right here, you are the result of 10,000 years of the toil of your ancestors. So clean the piss off the toilet seat and dial in, because all of them are standing on eternity looking at you saying, really? Is that what you're doing?